10 years ago, well, 10 days ago is hard enough, but yeah, 10 years ago, I think I was still post-art school and various jobs. I was working for design agencies and cultural places, but on the sidelines I was doing my own work, illustration. So I was trying to build up a illustration portfolio, and it was still quite personal work because I was still quite fresh from art school. Trying to build up a client list as well. Like I was doing theatre posters and the odd personal commission as well before boutique came along. I think most people if they have a particular childhood which is either quite solitary, or you see that you have a propensity to do something well, which was like drawing and photography and things like that when I was quite young. And I thought graphic design was the way forward. And then someone recommended coming to Glasgow to go to Glasgow School of Art. So that was the turning point, really. A new city, I think I was 18, and seeing the broad range of things that you could do within the visual arts kind of opened my mind. And it was more of like a lifestyle thing. You didn't really learn about products or packages. It was more about finding you know, that kind of thing. And then it set you up for life, really. If you have a good training when you're at that age, then you just always think about things in a visual way, I think. The process for creating a label starts with my little notebook, and it's probably little scribbles from just reading the brief. Just initial ideas, just really loose. Nobody could understand those scribbles. Barely, sometimes I can. And then I'm always thinking of the label framework, how you're going to get that perspective in that is required, or certain details, how you're going to fit it on that tiny little label. So there's a little play with that, sketching it up. This is all in pencil, this is all like on paper. And then I kind of consider it as layers so that it can be changed and adapted as well if there's changes to the brief. So you draw background and people and any framing separately as well. Also, it's kind of cool, like whatever's in the brief, if it's a pastiche or something, or you're referencing a movie or a film or a book, the research bit is fun. Like, okay, I don't think I've seen that movie, or I've not seen that TV show. No, it's like, this is research time, research. Go away and watch that. Everything's coloured digitally, but I prefer to hand draw just because you just crave any sort of real world element. Well, I do anyway. And I do screen printing as well, so that's part of that. I just like getting my hands dirty and the texture of the paper and stuff like that. But digitally, colouring it just makes sense because you can change things quite easily and do it for a fast turnover as well. It's definitely got its own flavour, digital art. I'm just totally apocalyptic. I'm like, one day all the technology will go and you'll just be like, I've got a cabinet full of drawings in case, you know, like, as quick as it needs to be, really. Depending, it could be a few days or a couple of weeks if there's feedback needed. Yeah, if it's a really detailed one, I try to take as long as possible because it's just nice to get involved in it and like all the little details. That's fun as well. Things that weren't in the brief, you can just add in little details. Nothing too controversial, obviously. The first maybe 10, 15 labels still have that. They were of their time. I mean, I was still perfecting what I was doing as well, and also I was leaning into the kind of rough and ready kind of element. I didn't realise how things were going to progress and what people's tastes were going to be. So it really is, it's like edgy hand-drawn, like, but elements are like, did a child do this, you know? And then it felt like we just rein it in a little bit over time. But the briefs sort of dictated, they were getting sharper, and it kind of dictated what was being created as well. So I've always kind of wanted to create an individual world for whatever brief it was and whatever label it was. They all do look boutiquey, but I just imagined that I was in that world and it's a little bit different to the other world. I mean, they've all got quite heavy outlines and a colour palette, but you can see, I just wanted to imagine that was a different world for each, from Bowmore to an Ardbeg, you know. And over time, I think I've had more fun just being playful, because I know I can be with boutique, I think. Just being confident with it. And that's probably comes out in being quite minimal in what I'm doing as well, like not overfilling the label, or yeah, whatever's got impact, I suppose. The best briefs are the ones where it's a little bit open-ended. One in particular was, we don't have anything unique about this distillery, so like visually, so just draw Space Olympics, and Space Olympics was the brief. I was like, okay, Space Olympics. So we're going to have AstroTurf, obviously. You know, we're going to have runners running around that track on Saturn, that kind of thing. I think my favourite was symbolically as well, and it looks quite cool. It was a Scottish and Japanese blend, and it was just so symbolic, but also quite illustrative, quite moody. It just looks like it could have been a film poster, or it could have actually been a film or something. I don't remember which blend that was now, but yeah, it looks like it could even be like a Mortal Kombat game or something. It's like a lion rampant versus a Japanese dragon. It's just, yeah, there's been loads of fun labels, but that's the one I kind of symbolically love the most, I think. I've got it here, actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, got a tiny bit left. At the beginning of the 10 years, I think I was quite, I was still quite young, so it's quite angsty personal artwork, you know, like getting all that out on the page. Nobody's going to see it. And then it became this world that we share almost everything. So you kind of have to balance it a little bit. I think towards the beginning, I got a print studio membership, so I started really getting into screen printing, and that's really, like, now I've been able to afford a screen printing setup, and I think about how things are developed as if it was a screen print. So that's how I see imagery now. But it's been nice having the two in tandem, because the boutique stuff's quite, to be a good drafts person, really, you know, like you need to get likenesses and body proportions and equipment in the distillery right, and all this kind of stuff. So it's made me a better drafts person, I think, which makes you a good illustrator, which has helped, because I wouldn't normally have spent time perfecting that. It was all about expression and stuff and just getting the imagery out. So it's helped the other side, and I think the screen printing element has come into boutique as well, like colour and layering and things like that. I think it helps you. I think if you've had any sort of artistic education, you've always got that nag at the back, like, is it pure? Is it authentic? Is it me? You know, that's my true art, that kind of thing. The older you get, that dampens down a little bit, but you still like to keep that bit precious. So I've got I like having many outlets, like a t-shirt design, screen printing, like I always take my sketchbook everywhere. I like observing from life as well, and the boutique work. So it all kind of just makes you a whole kind of person, really, like quite a 3D person in a way. And it's not, I don't know if I would use the term artist, but it just makes life interesting. It's all about visual art, and it all kind of marries into each other. So I do like keeping some elements pure, and I think that is a pure expression of what I mean and what I want to do. But I think as myself more as like a craftsperson or a artisan or something, and just like using all these different mediums to express something. 10 years, wow. Well, the last 10 years went so fast, so I probably should make some plans, because otherwise I'm going to be stuck doing that, whatever it is. I love making things, like creating things, building things, drawing things, printing things. If that can be sustained for another 10 years or more, I'll follow whatever route that takes, but as long as I'm doing that, that's what I love. So yeah, creating things, yeah.